you. Okay, so hi there, Miss Rachel Dorney. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So, what I would love is for you to tell us what happened in the Children's Village, because you are our wonderful defender and there when the police came.
So around 2:45 a.m., everyone in the camp was yelling at people in their tents to wake up, and that they saw the police and that they were all meeting in this building nearby, just staging. So from 3 until 5, we were just waiting for the cops to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And at 5, they all rushed in. I didn't even know how many there were, but they were rushing towards the, I guess, west end of the plaza, and then around the Children's Village. And then after they were all set up, I kind of looked around and noticed that we were completely surrounded, and that they were even off kind of down the street.
Wow.
So I had no idea how many there were.
How many, if you had to guess?
Well, I heard there were 500.
Really?
Yeah, and it was hard to see everything. Like, I was just by the Children's Village, and there were 4 of us finally who linked arms, but originally it was just me, and everyone rushed to the kind of the entrance, I guess, and that's where most of the things were going on.
So you and some others linked arms around the village?
Yeah.
And what happened then?
It was pretty quiet. Just waiting still. They were holding their nightsticks, and there were a couple police who had shotguns. There was one police officer who was taking pictures, which is pretty frustrating. But over time, they would go up one step and wait there, go up one more step. It's kind of like fear tactic.
You felt that was to intimidate everybody?
Yeah. There's just 5 of us, and I just told everyone, like, stay where you are. Yeah, it was pretty scary, and the medics were trying to get everyone who couldn't be there out. And so they were running past the police, and other people were rushing away because tear gas started going off at the entrance. I'm getting there. Before they even started approaching us, I got the Children's Village sign and I put it in front of the barricade. That was before we even linked arms. So I did that and just decided that I was just going to stay quiet and just stare at them. And then eventually, once they were really close, I heard one of the police officers say, "Arrest those 5." And I don't know. Like,
and you were just standing there in front of Children's Village.
Yeah.
Like, did anybody was aggressive towards the police? You guys were just there.
Yeah, we were just there. Before they arrested us, some kind of went up the weird wheelchair access ramp. And I can kind of hear them behind me, just like stomping on tents and doing whatever. I didn't turn around. But so they were ready. There's some behind us, and then the ones who were in front, so maybe 100, just approached us to arrest us and put zip ties on us.
100 policemen arrested 5 women?
No, it wasn't 5 women.
5 people?
Yeah, 5 people.
Who were unarmed.
Behind a sign that said Children's Village.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clearly a dangerous crew.
Yeah, super dangerous. Yeah, and they definitely used excessive force putting the zip ties on us, because it's not like I was trying to fight back or even get my arms away. Like, I knew I was going to get arrested no matter what, and I didn't want them to use excessive force, but they did anyway, and kind of were like twisting my arms and pushing on my hands. It was pretty painful.
I'm sorry.
Do you know if it was the Oakland police or another department that did that to you?
Actually, the woman who escorted me, who ended up tying my zip ties, was Oakland police. But I did see some other people, and then once they walked us all in line to kind of work on their reports, I saw vehicles from Fremont and Emeryville and just all over. Because obviously there aren't enough Oakland police. So,
I guess not.
Did they tell you where you were going, or
Did you your rights?
Yeah.
No.
Did they announce what they were arresting you for before they took you?
No. Not at all.
Were you read your rights at any time?
Mm-mm.
You were not read your rights, but they held you in custody.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and we didn't, we would ask questions about just those things, like, why are we being arrested right now? Like, where are we going? And they're just like, we don't have to tell you.
Since when?
Yeah. And they would, yeah. And even at the end, when I finally got let out, I asked a question, and they just treat you like, nope, we're gonna throw you back in a cell. They don't like questions at all.
Wow.
And on the bus on the way there, we had no idea where we were going because there was an underground entrance. So
Right.
I couldn't see anything. I was in a cage. Yeah.
Oh.
Al Jazeera was reporting prisoner abuses at Santa Rita and County Jail, people beating, heads in the toilet. Did you experience or witness anything of that sort?
I didn't. I was in a cell by myself at Santa Rita for 6 hours. And for the most part, it was pretty good. There were a couple of times when I kind of heard yelling, like a guy yelling, and thought maybe he was getting tasered or something. So I don't know. But being in there was enough. Like, there were moments where I just wanted to, bash my head against the wall.
Being all by yourself.
Yeah. And it was cold, and the police were awful, and immature.
Immature how?
So they wanted to ask me to identify myself, and I decided I wasn't going to tell them. I mean, first they had my ID, they could look it up. I mean, they weren't actually very smart, so maybe they couldn't. But, while we were getting searched, they told us to shut our mouths. So I was like, fine, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. And so they were trying to get in my cell, and it took them a few minutes. They were having trouble, so when they came in, I was like, well, that was embarrassing. And one of the cops was like, you know what's embarrassing, blah, 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 and, he called me a loser, and the other cop was like, when was the last time you showered? And I was like, yesterday. He was like, 'cause you stink. It was like, how old are you? I didn't say that, but
wow.
I know.
That's horrible.
I decided to stop talking after that and be better than them.
Legally, you don't have to say a word when you get arrested.
Yeah.
Not a word.
Yeah. And I was put in that cell by myself for some stupid reason. I mean, obviously they felt that they lost control and thought I was, I don't know, gonna cause some trouble in there, which maybe they were right. I don't know.
You weigh 120 pounds.
I ain't no fucking wet.
Yeah, you're a real danger.
A smart ass.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that is,
'Cause she's smart.
battle of wits and armed
I didn't
opponent.
even say anything though. If you put in there, I was just laughing. And I got other people laughing too.
That's good.
Laughter.
That can save someone's life, save someone's sanity, having a good laugh during a time like that.
Yeah. One of the women who was just released this morning, who I met in there, Teak, who's the daughter of someone. She was next to me. I was making her laugh, so I think that was good.
Yes, indeed.
Because she's 18, she got beat up by the police.
Oh.
She showed her lip had this fatty bruise and mark, and she had hair that was ripped out of her head, which she
had
saved.
hair ripped out of her head.
Yeah, and they hit her mom, and it was just.
Was she the one that got in between the police and her 53-year-old mother?
Yeah, because her mother had a barricade on her foot, and they just moved it kind of towards the police to get it off, and that's when they just attacked.
Wow.
Yeah, and they charged her with assaulting a police officer, and that's why she had to stay in longer. Yeah, apparently that's what they do, to cover their own asses.
This is so frightening.
Yeah, it is pretty frightening. And I could tell they wanted to keep me because on my wristband they wrote a K for keep. but then figured out they really had no reason to keep me. Like, hey, she's a smart ass. Like, can't do anything. So then they wrote the C for citing out.
Wow.
Were you fed or given a phone call?
We had to request that our phones get turned on. And food. Let's see, we certainly weren't fed the first 7 hours, breakfast or lunch, because they said, you can't feed you here, you have to wait till you get to Santa Rita, and there's not enough food for all of you. And we were like, we're going to share. Like, we felt, like, really close and talking together. We were fine with that, but they wouldn't. So after we got searched, they gave us a thing. It had an orange, 2 cookies, and a couple lean pieces of bread with, like, tubes of peanut butter and jelly.
Wow.
And I decided to eat my orange first and save everything else, which was good because I didn't get anything again. So
how long were you in, like, the Oakland jail before they moved you to Santa Rita?
7 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. For processing. Yeah.
Like Velveeta.
No,
Give me a
they were
break.
obviously trying to hold us as long as they could. Just finding any reason to do so.
And then how long were you in Santa Rita?
Over 6 hours. Yeah. We were on the bus for almost an hour before we even got going.
Did they originally say you'd have a $10,000 bond?
No. They didn't. We kept calling the National Lawyers Guild, and that's how we found out. We found out a lot of information, but they wouldn't tell us anything.
Thank goodness for the Lawyers Guild.
Definitely. And we found out, like, they can't keep us here for over 24 hours. Which was still pretty scary, because just waiting and waiting, especially when I was by myself.
Yeah.
So I just try to sleep as much as possible.
Well, then, one good thing that I consider, like, good news in this story is what you have to share with us about the kids that we were all worried about. Do you mind just telling us, you know, what you shared earlier about them?
Yeah, so that was one thing I was worried about being there. So I woke up, kind of looked around, I didn't see any kids waking up. I saw their parent, and then before the police came in, I asked, like, the mothers that I recognized and asked them, like, hey, where are your kids? Are they okay? And they were like, yeah, they're over at their aunt's house or whoever.
So the mothers had sent their kids out.
And one of the mothers wasn't even there. It was kind of the niece who I recognized. Their kids who actually came by our tent a couple weeks ago and gave us crap. But yeah, it was fine. There were no kids.
The mystery remains, though, in that film, that there's a baby crying. So there is, you know, if those kids were gone earlier, then we still have that lingering on something maybe we just will never know.
Yeah, that was something that was really scary, just not knowing throughout the whole thing, like even in prison, like not knowing when I'm gonna get out, not knowing how anyone else is doing. Like when I met up with people who I was in cells with, like yesterday and today, it was just like, oh my God, thank goodness. Like I had no idea what happened to you. Because when they were leaving, I was still in my cell, and it's just like, because most everything happened by the entrance where I wasn't. So I had no idea what was going on over there. I saw tear gas. Part of me wanted to rush over there and see or do something, but I was like, I have to stay right here. Because I was the only one standing there, and then it was just like, okay, there are just 5 of us. Can't let them down.
Right.
I have to stick with the children's village.
We're so grateful to you, Dorney. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry you had to go through all of that. I really do.
Yeah, I'd do it.
We love you.
I would do it again.
I know you and your feisty critter, you.
Yeah, be a little bit more smart.
Oh.
Dorney Lionheart.
Dorney Lionheart. Thank you so much, huh? I'm going to turn this off.